All right, traders. Nice job today. We had a really nice start to 2019. Um, the SPY gapped down and then really ripped and ended up taking or almost getting up above the recent highs of this big bounce it's had. So a really impressive move in the SPY. Now, before I go any farther into this video, I first want to show you Apple, which I guess was halted in after hours. Closed at 157.92, and I think it closed out after hours. I'm not sure if after hours is closed yet or not. I think it is. Closed out around 146, so a nasty gap down tomorrow in Apple. I believe they guided lower, and that could certainly be an overall weight on the whole market. So, something to think about. Here's what I'll be watching tomorrow. MRIN was on bounce watch today. Gave a nice bounce. If you weren't there in chat today, I actually called this long. Over this, it was one of our gap down bounce play setups. Let me go back to the daily. This is what it looked like coming into today. It was one of my favorite charts coming into today just because it had this huge move back here and then had fallen all the way from 12 down to close to the 20-day, the buy zone on the daily. And I had said in the video coming into today that if it's going to bounce, I'd like it to happen today because I don't like round trips, and it was getting, coming into the 200-day and the 20-day from above after a huge move, lower volume on the pullback. So it met all my parameters for a bounce play, and then did one of my favorite things in the pre-market. Not the pre-market, I'm sorry. Once the market opened, was a small gap down. I'd prefer that when I'm watching for a bounce play over a gap up. So we got the small gap down in a fairly narrow range. And I called it long. It's on the mic in chat if you weren't there. Call it long through 540, right? And look what happened. I mean, these are 5-minute candles, right? So in 20 minutes after the entry, it's up almost a buck on a 540 entry. I did really well in this one today, and I took maybe one more trade all day, and it's kind of in line with what I tweeted something to the effect of you don't have to you don't have to overtrade this market. I hadn't taken a trade. I think my tweet was in the afternoon. I said basically haven't taken a trade since this morning, and I'm having a great trading day, right? So you really you need to put some money to work when the setup's there. But then the overall market really chopped around all afternoon, and there was just no great setups that I could find. So I have a good morning. I'm not willing to get that back. I would rather lose on my first trade and have a red day than I would to start off my day really well and then end up going red on the day by giving it back by overtrading. So man, if I have a good morning, unless I have a beautiful setup, especially in a kind of a sketchy market like we've been in, I'm just taking my gains and jumping on the treadmill and watching my screens. But it's very rare I'll put money to work after a good morning in this environment. All right. Anyway, so MRIN goes back on watch for tomorrow, but it did close well off of its highs. You had a really nice rally here and kind of meandered lower the rest of the day, but I am going to watch it again tomorrow. IZEA, there's nothing really compelling here, and I actually kind of hate this stock. I've traded it a few times, but in after hours it's trading at 138. It looks like on decent volume too, so the assumption is they had news in after hours. I would note that 138 is right about here. It's not gapping up above resistance or anything. On this day back here in July, it gapped up and had a nice run, but since then, every gap up has been slapped down here. Here, it ran but got slapped down. So IZEA is not a great follow-through stock. But when I saw it in after hours, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to throw it on the gap playlist for tomorrow, and we'll see. ADIL, this one was on bounce watch coming into today too. And let me go back to the daily. And you look at it and think, oh man, I bet they made a killing on this one. Well, when you go to intraday, this thing never gave a clean setup to me. I mean, I will say, there were people in chat, speaking of a gap down bounce play setup, there were people in chat calling this long over 5, right? So it was already on bounce watch. The opening 10 minutes it tops out at a hole number 5. We love hole number breaks, but there was no volume. I'll try to give you the math here. The opening 5-minute candle, about 16,000 shares, and the next 5-minute candle, about 10,000. So 26,000 shares in 10 minutes. There was no big offer at $5. There was just nothing clean. There was no liquidity. So, that falls into, hey, if you see this in chat, it's one of those quiet entries. Take it, but I can't call it. Wayne and I both saw this. We saw other people posting it, but I couldn't call it. There was just no shares available, so I didn't do anything with this. Anyway, so then it rips, and then kind of flags for a while. And then, then it's just nothing. And then look at this. In the very last right here. This is getting into the afternoon. You get a push down like it's going to completely roll over. Then the very next candle, it does this. And I pointed this out in chat and said, wow, this thing is very squinky. I'm not touching it. And I wasn't really looking to trade it. And then at the end of the day, look, it chops around again. Then at the end of the day, the final 5 minutes it rips. So it's deceiving when you look at that candle and think, oh yeah, that was an easy one today. It certainly wasn't. And I never got involved with it. But with that strong close, I got to have it on watch for tomorrow. Okay, ABAC, nice volume for this stock. That's still only 1.4 million. A lot of topping tails on this one too, but the high volume for the stock made me, I don't have a lot to watch, so I threw that one on watch. BAS, I believe they're in the energy sector. Decent volume for this stock and a nice little breakout compared to, look at the, 2 weeks worth of candles before. Look at the difference in range on, today. So maybe a follow through day tomorrow. Let's see, VT, another really tough trader. Kind of interesting though. Here's 5 minute candles. It never did break its opening high. Opening high was 310. It had this big volume spike in the afternoon. And once it did this and started pulling back, Wayne posted they liked it over 305. There was a big seller there, and I agreed with him. But when it looked like this, I thought if this gets back over this candle, seller at 305 gets taken out, you're probably going to light up the new high of day ticker and maybe challenge these recent highs. So to me, this looked really good, but it never hit that 305. So it never gave any kind of a setup, but I was watching it all day. So anyway, I put it on watch again for tomorrow. QTT, really nice relative volume today. This one only seems to run on days I'm not watching it, but it had this big pop here and really flagged the rest of the afternoon. So let's watch that one again tomorrow. MEIP, a big pop a few sessions ago, and it's got like 3 days where it topped out right around 265. So if I look at on 15-minute candles, you kind of see the nice pop and kind of the tight high flag here. So this one's kind of interesting over 265. We'll keep our eyes on that one. AWSM had this big pop, then an inside day. You got just a couple lower highs on declining volume. I like this maybe back through 2 tomorrow. Wait, did this top out? Topped out at 2, which makes it even more interesting. So I do like AWSM through 2 because you have 1, 2 potential catalysts above to really get this thing going, and it's a low float stock. And then UXIN. I had said in the video this weekend that I generally don't like stocks that have had huge moves and then have been pulling back and then almost round trip, because there's just, bears are winning and there's really just no catalyst, even if this does give a bounce play setup. But the fact that this was almost $10 a week ago and now it's $3.88, it is lower volume on the pullback. I'm going to watch this one more day for a bounce. I'm not very bullish on this one though. I don't like it like I did MRIN. Notice the difference. This one's way down near the round trip, whereas MRIN, and I'll bring that up one more time, was pulling back into the 20-day, right? But still above, well above where it started. So hopefully you see the difference there. Makes me like this one a lot less, but I am going to watch it one more day for a potential bounce. That's it. We're going to add some gappers in the morning to this list, and we'll see everybody tomorrow in chat. Have a great night.